Hi guys, Scott here. It's 5:30 in the morning. I was about to go to bed. I usually just browse forums before I go to sleep. It reminded me of a video I wanted to make about Lightborn. So I'll just talk about Lightborn really quick before I actually go to bed. I'm sure this will be very well spoken and not bad at all. So Lightborn, I think, is one of the biggest noob trap perks in the entire game. I would go so far as to say it's actually a very bad perk. The reason is Lightborn is one of the only perks in the game that incentivizes survivors to play more efficiently. So if you've got a four-man team and they all have flashlights and you have Lightborn, as soon as they try to blind you and see that it's impossible, they will stop trying to blind you for the rest of the entire match, which means they will do their only other thing that they can do, which is generators. Now, normally people with flashlights are going to waste time going for saves and stuff like that, and that's a good thing for killer. It means they're not doing gens. But if you have Lightborn, they're not even going to try, and thus they will try to just do generators. And I've seen it firsthand just when I was doing random percolates and stuff. I've gone against full like teams that had streamers on them, and as soon as they saw I had Lightborn, you could actually hear them on their comm say, "Oh fuck this killer, let's gen rush because we can't use our flashlights." And on the one hand, it seems spiteful, but on the other hand, what else are they going to do? They can't flashlight blind, so they have no other options, right? So that's why I think it's one of the biggest noob traps because it actually makes the survivor team actually play better. The thing is, I think flashlights are awful. I think they are the by far the worst item in the game. Even a broken key has more of a mind game than a flashlight. But the thing is, you need to know how to play around flashlights. That's why I consider Lightborn a noob trap because it's just sort of putting a band-aid on for something where you can actually learn how to counter them, and it's far more effective because it still gives the survivors the thought that they can go for a save, but they just end up wasting time doing so if you're looking out for it. So the really simple guide to countering flashlights is let's say worst case scenario at the 6 seconds they all swap to flashlights, so you couldn't possibly have Lightborn. Now obviously if you're like Wraith or Hag or Artist, that's a much bigger deal, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about for everybody else that doesn't have a specific power that's related to flashlights. So let's say worst case scenario, they all swap to flashlights at 6 seconds, so you don't have Lightborn. So as soon as I down somebody, the first thing I'll do when I know there's flashlights is you down someone, walk up to them, and just look around. 9 times out of 10, you'll find someone running into position to get a save. Because unless you down somebody right in front of a rock that they were hiding behind, they need to run into position. If they don't run into position, they just won't have the time to get there. So that's why a common killer tactic is as soon as you get it down, if you're worried about flashlights, approach them, kind of stand there for a second, and then look around. 9 times out of 10, probably even 11 times out of 12, you'll see somebody coming for the save. Now, when you see that guy coming for the save, well, and also I just want to say, like, I'm not saying you can't get flashlight blinded. It still happens. Even to me, I still get blinded. But it's usually because I'm not paying attention. I'm like looking at chat, or it's completely my fault. It's never like something that was so strong I couldn't do anything about it. It was just every time it's me going, "Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. How did I let that happen?" So, once you chase that guy off the slug on the ground, you don't even have to commit to that chase. Some people think that, okay, well, now I have to chase this guy, but then they're going to get the other guy up. You don't actually have to commit to that chase. Just make them run away from you for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then just turn back around and pick the guy up. They're not going to be able to run away from you, see you stop, adjust, turn around, run in front of you, and then blind in the time it takes you to just 180 and pick a guy up. It's just not enough time. And if they do that, if they're turning around so fast, you can turn around fast and just whack them. And then when they speed burst away, you'll definitely have enough time to pick them up. So just chase the guy off for a second or two to make him get out of position, turn around, and pick back up. He won't have time to teleport in front of you and also get a blind. It's just not going to happen. Now, if there's another guy with a flashlight there, I mean, at that point, who gives a shit? No one's doing gens anymore. The game is not progressing towards anything. In fact, that's one of the best scenarios you can have as killer. That's a dream scenario as killer. You want all 4 survivors circling you. That's the best possible scenario you can be in as killer. Yeah, you might have to deal with, angling things or facing a wall or downing people in a better position or chasing people off. But if you're in that scenario where there are 4 survivors trying to get it, or 3 survivors trying to get a flashlight blind on you, that means no one's doing anything useful. And eventually you're going to win that war of attrition to the point where they get down in a bad area where they can't really get a flashlight save. Or you'll keep catching them coming for the saves, and eventually they're going to be injured to the point where they can't safely do that anymore, because then you can just turn around and actually chase and down them. And then you've got people slugged everywhere. So it's an interesting thing, because in that scenario, when people are swarming the killer, like if you're a newer killer and you're getting swarmed by survivors with flashlights, I see so many people call that sweaty. And to me, that's the complete opposite of sweaty. Like, I think we can agree that the definition of sweaty is what? It's trying your absolute hardest to win the match, right? That's, I think, the universal description of sweaty. They're not doing that. If you have a 4-man team with 4 flashlights and all they're doing is fucking around with flashlights and that's it, they're not trying their hardest to win. They're trying their hardest to bully the killer, and that's a separate, more valid point. If you say that, these guys are just being bullies, that's more accurate and that's fair. I don't really view it like that, but I understand where you're coming from when you say that. But if you say that they're sweaty, it makes no sense because the people with flashlights are not trying to win the game. They're just trying to fuck with you. And to me, as a killer, that's my favorite time. When they're trying to fuck with me, I'm confident in my skills that they're going to lose that war of attrition. If no one's doing gens and all they're doing is trying to mess with me, they will all die. And that is part of the reason I think flashlights are not a big deal. But I also realize that not everyone plays this game like for their job, and flashlights can seem far more intimidating when you're not really prepared for them. So hopefully the quick tips I just gave you will help you a lot in that scenario. And really try to not get discouraged if you chase somebody off and then a third guy goes to the blind. It can be frustrating, but you got to know in the back of your mind, no one is doing gens. And that's still good for you. So even if they get the flashlight save, it's still a good thing because nothing is being progressed at that point. It just means your match is going to take longer, but you're not going to lose any faster. It's just moving the bar somewhere else. So try to look at it like that, and it's a bit more of an optimistic view on flashlights. But that is why I think Lightborn is such a noob trap, because it makes people not really learn how to deal with flashlights and instead make you just throw in a bandage that also incentivizes the opposing team to play incredibly efficiently and not use their flashlights. So, yeah, that's why I definitely pretty much, I can't recommend you use Lightborn on anybody like ever, unless it's like a meme or something, or if like you somehow know you're going to like Rotten Fields or something, maybe, I guess, but still. And all my years playing this game, every time I have Lightborn and I have a full flashlight team, it ends up being worse for me because they're not going to ever try again. So that's it. I just want to talk about that after seeing that on the forums. I'm going to bed now, I guess.